Hey everybody, how's it going? So this video is going to be the video that truly frees myself. It's what I have basically worked my whole life up to, and it's crazy that it's this moment, as well as I feel all the support around me in all aspects: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and all the energies of the universe and all the lifetimes here throughout that wanted to get here now. Now, the reason why I posted the last few posts were, always cycle, meaning always for you, but also for me, but for you. Service of self, service of others, service of others, service of self. It's just a cycle. And while I did that to help everyone, it's also what I was going through, but also to prepare you and myself for what I'm about to say here. So the things that I have to say here, please know, you in no way have to believe any of this, and recognize, please, that just because it's what I believe, there is in no way that I believe that you need to believe these things believe these things as well. If you do believe them, then you do, and wonderful. We're vibrating same frequency. But if not, no, we don't have to hate each other, and we don't have to, if you want, it's your choice what you do. But it's more just about, it's my opinion, and what I have gone through has led me here, and what you have gone through has led you where you are. So please understand that there is in no way, by me sharing all of this, do I mean or intend for you to believe in what I do, fully or anyway. And yet, I do believe in what I believe in, fully, truly, because everything has led me here, truly. Now, when I say all this stuff too, please also know I'm also not here being prideful. I am actually here being very humble about it all, as I am very thankful for everything that has led me to where I'm at and who I am. Because I know it has been a long process, a long journey. While it has been this lifetime that has brought me here in a very long, amazing, deep, deep, deep journey, and full of hardships that, while maybe some might not consider hard because of the hardships they have had to endure, it's hard in a different way, because in truth, we all have our own paths that might be something that we can get through, and it might be hard, but it's also something someone else doesn't want to go through at all. And it might seem easier at the time, but when they go through it, it's very difficult. And I've faced many, many, many things. I have decided to face pretty much everything. Not saying that there aren't still things for me to face, but I always face them. And that's why I'm here now. Again, has not been an easy path, but definitely worth it. And that's why I continually tell everyone that the path to your truest self is fully worth it. It's fully worth it. Now, the other thing is, I have been here in many lifetimes that have got me also here. So all those lifetimes that I have lived have given me and gifted me this lifetime in balance. And I am here in balance in the way where I have worked out the darkness and the light. And so I am here understanding the both, and now walking that very fine line of choice of experience and understanding and seeing things very different, I would say, than most. Not as we're evolving more and more of us are becoming so, but definitely through my youth and through my 20s and even young 30s, it wasn't an easy path, not at all, especially being so different, considered to be so different from everyone. All right, so with that to the side, please remember, again, my journey, my experience, my path that has led me here to my beliefs, and again, doesn't mean that you need to believe them. I'm just simply sharing mine, all right? Whew. This is so crazy that this is what I've worked up to. This will probably be 2-part episode, meaning this one and the topics I'll talk about in this one, and then the next one, which will be more about the physicality of the world now, and then I'll feel free, finally free to live who I am and how I am and just be. I want you to understand that in this life, I am only here to be a guide. I am not here for anything else, and I am not here to do anything else. I am not here owing anybody anything, and I recognize that, and it's up to you if you recognize that. But I know this. I don't owe anyone anything. And nor do you truly, but that's up to you within your own self. So whatever expectations people may have of me, please know that those are your expectations, and I have no chains on me. I am literally free, and I am here freeing myself of these last two. Like the genie, right? Genie, you're free. And then the genie just didn't know what to do, boom, 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 and took off. And that's what I'm here doing at this moment, freeing my last two chains that I thought that I had, but I don't. All right, so the 2 lifetimes that I am here really experiencing this life were a very powerful masculine one and a very powerful feminine one. And while I was masculine and feminine, there was balances again of both, meaning while I was at masculine, there was definitely feminine, and while I was at feminine, there was definitely masculine. And both lives ended very painfully with lots of sacrifices, which is why in this life I don't believe in sacrifice. I don't. And in some ways, and actually in many ways, in all ways really, I know that I don't owe any sacrifice in this one, which is why I'm here as a guide. I also know that they can't do anything to me because I am super uber duper protected fully because of past. Now what you need to know is that when we go through things in past, and even in this life, when anything has to do with magic, because life has a lot to do with magic, and a lot of people have worked in magic, and magic goes both ways, and it's also balanced. Magic works in every way, just as everything does. While they have done magic, it comes throughout time. It never ends. Magic isn't something that is just one lifetime and the next you're done. Literally, it is extended into always. Meaning that they have done things to me in past magics, but because they have done it a certain amount of times now, there is this lifetime where nothing can be done because it's what it is. It's how it happens. It's how it goes. The balance of it. And so I am here living the life that I choose, which is happiness, love, and joy, and stuff I wish to spread with all of you, but it is your initial choice. It is your intended choice. It is up to you. And this choice, the reason why I say sorry here is because I know it's not easy. But I'm sorry, this choice has to come from your heart center. It has to come from your authentic self. It has to come from you accepting truly who you are, loving who you are, forgiving everything, and then just being who you are and being love. And that is the path. It is the path. It just is the path. All right. So what I'm going to share here, I'm not going to share here all the research I did and all the stuff that I went through and all the stuff that I have gathered to get here. I'm just simply going to share what I have come up with. And through time, this lifetime, I will share those things in however it comes out intuitively as I'm led. So whenever it comes out, it'll come out. But like I said, I am not going to help everyone to understand in this moment where it came from, all that kind of stuff. Again, not here to live to your expectations, not here to give you what you need in that moment, because in truth, it's what you need, and so you can do that for yourself. I'm already here sharing so much and giving so much, all out of love, and you need to recognize yourself, those things within yourself, because if I help you here in those ways and just freely give the answer, especially what I've learned in this life, it's not appreciated and it's not actually learned, and the path is actually longer. Whereas if you were to just do it in the way that you're meant to, it's actually better for you, a more solid foundation, and in truth, quicker for you. And so that's why everything and I have decided that this is the way that it had to be, needs to be, because we only all learn through our mistakes, right? And while things happen in life and we might wish for it to be other ways, the mistakes are actually blessings in disguise from the skies because of what it brings, because it is what was needed and necessary for us to learn. And that is something I wish for you to understand throughout everything, is to please try to understand and see through the mistakes and wrongdoings that those are actually the biggest gifts of all, because it helps you to make decisions in those moments if you choose to see the lessons within them and see your part within them and understand what you wish to change or choose. Now, again, it's not an easy path, but it is also an easier path. So again, whatever you choose to experience, right? And I want to cry here in so many emotions again, because I know it's not easy. I know there's so much trauma, so much suffering, so much people who are disconnected from self, who don't know what to do, who they are, where to be. But that is also why when we take responsibility for ourselves and our choices and where we bring ourselves to, we actually help more people out, is because as we raise frequency, there is no other way but for the ripples to hit to raise frequency. And while that happens, it's not necessarily the best experience for all, especially when they think they're not ready for it. But at the same time, the ones that are hit are the ones that did ask for it in some way, because nothing can be done unless it was already planned for you or unless you asked for it in some way or allowed it. And that's just the way it goes. All right. So in this freeing moment, let's go. I want to bring this back to Adam and Eve first, because that is one of the first things that I learned about, was Adam and Eve. And I didn't learn about it in the normal way as going to what people would consider to be church or every Sunday, or what you need to do to learn this kind of stuff. I learned about it in the way where I did know those stories. I was taught in some ways, and consciously, and the ways it was brought to me and how I figured things out, and through time. So it's not just something I learned when I was a kid. It was something I learned as a kid and carried throughout my life, and learned more about it as I kept going, and learned more about it more and more as I kept growing here. So first of all, let me say that I do believe in Jesus Christ. I do believe in God, and I do believe in all the stories of everything. Maybe not exactly in the way that they are foretold literally, but at the same time, I do believe in it literally. But it's how it is. And so I do believe in all of that. The reason why I believe in all of that is, actually, when I was growing up, I wasn't sure what to believe. It's not like all of a sudden it was brought to me and I just believed it full-heartedly. I was definitely skeptic. I actually am more skeptic than people think I am. People think that I'm gullible, but what they don't recognize is I start off with seeming gullible, and then I continue on and find things out and figure things out, because that's just my nature. And people can think whatever they wish about it, but for me, it's because I do believe I have a very beautiful, open heart that likes to trust and believe. And that is also why it hurts so much, is because it's something that I had to learn, was that it's earned, not just given freely. Even though I did give it freely and I continue to give it freely, I do have the balance of, is it earned? Meaning that I do open fully and I take away as people treat me, and I open, but I always open because of forgiveness. But I have to protect myself as well, especially with all the pains we have gone through in life, and recognizing that everyone has their own choices for where they're meant to go, and it doesn't mean I have to go everywhere they go, because it's not my intended path, nor is it yours. All right, so I do believe in the stories that are in the Bible, and at the same time, I do believe that there's basically like a page ripped out of it, meaning that I feel like the key to it all isn't necessarily there. I feel like while we can know much and while we can learn much, the true key of it is not there, so we can't fully actually reach it. It's like basically having a whole story and the end being ripped out, and you don't know what happens, and without that, you can just guess and do things as you can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just get there because the book told you how. And I do believe that is with purpose in both the darkness and the light, because the plan is the same plan for the darkness and the light. It is the same plan. It brings us to oneness, and that is the truth. So with Adam and Eve, while you guys will know the story, for me, what I got from it as I got older, just more recently, was that it's about the masculine and feminine. And while I do believe in it literally and all the things that gone on, I do believe too about Adam being the man, Adam, man, and Eve being brought out of, being made out of Adam's rib, and that's the feminine. So I do believe that masculine and feminine cannot ever truly fully know each other or understand one another. And I do believe that that needs to be appreciated and understood in that way. Because we always, and please don't think that I'm gender specific here, I'm more talking about the energies. Everything is both, okay? There's energies in masculine and feminine, and while there can be a feminine that's more masculine and a masculine that's more feminine, we also have the different degrees of everything within us. I do believe that we're all masculine and feminine, and it's about the degrees that we vibrate in ourselves uniquely. So with that, I do believe because Eve was taken out from the inside of Adam, I believe that she, the feminine, vibrates more on a level of insides, whereas I believe Adam is more on the physical level, and that is the characteristics of the masculine feminine. And I believe that with it together, we are complete. And when separate, we're missing, whereas together, we're complete. Now, again, doesn't need to be specifically male, female, just the energies. And so within that, obviously, I believe there's the opposites of how male is very one-track minded and how feminine is very multi-minded, and then how feminine is very nurturing and how male is very out there provider. I believe that's where these different aspects come from. I also believe that is why it was Eve that had the apple from the serpent. And I don't view the serpent as necessarily bad. I view the serpent as wise, and while sneaky in ways, but wise. I believe the serpent has a lot of wisdom because it is the balance. It understands the waves. It just is. And when you have all that knowledge, it's not necessarily easy to be just light. And that's what I believe God's teaching was. And I also do believe that while the Old Testament and while in the Adam and Eve story, it seems that God was made a fearful God, I don't believe God to be a fearful God. I believe God to be an unconditional loving God, because I believe in parents, and I believe in children, and I believe in the purity of it all, and I believe in pure love. And when you see things from that aspect, you understand that when you watch parents get upset at their kids, it's really because they love so much that that reaction comes out. And in truth, same with the child. The child was such pure love that all this experience happened because of what happened to the parent, that they are just reacting to that. And we end up starting these, what's the effect? Why can't I think of it right? But ripple effects that are because we don't understand the whole. So I do believe that God just wished, like when we say made in the image of God, it's for us to understand God, and for us not to just think that God is just one side of it. God is all of it, and this is where I bring Lucifer in. So Lucifer being the every brightest angel, wisest angel, most talented, the most shining star, the most everything angel, and wanted to be like God, and therefore became prideful, and then was cast out as well. Like, think about it. Adam and Eve cast out, Lucifer cast out, and they're cast out into what they consider darkness. But I believe in that darkness, I believe it was a gift so that they can see the light and then understand the whole aspect of it all. So I believe that God, which I actually term group of dimensions and creator source, God was source creator, God. Source, which is the energy, creator, which the energy created creation, which then became God, group of dimensions. So this is what I believe. So I believe in that they were cast into darkness so that they could understand the whole, is because so many people who get into the spiritual journey, so many people who ask for the best of everything, so many people who wish for the top, they don't understand that normally, because in experience, whenever people wish for that pinnacle, it usually goes down before it goes up. But they don't expect it to go down. They just expect it to go up. But recognizing that everything goes down and then up is because you're learning that whole. Everyone thinks that just by trying to be God, you're just this beautiful light being, but that's not actually accepting yourself or God or anything else in experience for the all, because all has both. All has properties of both. It has intentions to be whatever it is. It's the positive, negative, and even energy. Even when you look into nature has everything positive and negative. All the natural medicines and herbs and all that stuff that can be used for both. Even poison, when extracted correctly and done correctly, can be made into the most curing medicine. Even some of the things, like everything in moderation too, because some of the best things for you when overused can actually be bad for you. Water can kill people when drank too much. Sunlight, like there's so many things that when taken in too much can be very detrimental to you. And then there's the things that we consider bad for you and poisonous that can actually be really good for you. And so we need to understand that there's so much balance in life, and it's about understanding these things and then deciding where to use them and what intention. And that's what life is. So I do believe with all the angels cast out and all of that, it's to bring them to the whole, but it wasn't understood because we look at bad stuff as so shameful, and yet that's our own judgments. To me, God, while having judgments from before, doesn't have judgments anymore and just wishes. And that's why I believe that to be source, creator, God, you must come from unconditional love. You have to, because you need to be able to forgive unconditionally, to love unconditionally, and to do everything unconditionally, and to understand the infinite intelligence and the eternal of everything. Do you understand how far infinite and eternal goes? I don't feel like people actually grasp that concept of how massively huge that is. It is so beyond, yes, human thinking, but not beyond what we can understand, because we are this energy. We're all a part of this energy just within ourselves. And I do believe that we're made in the image of God, not necessarily just in the image of physical self as people think, which is why they have a problem with races and why they have a problem with different species and all this kind of stuff. Because I believe in the image of energy. We are creation. We are love. We are unconditional love. And we're going through this roller coaster we call life to get us to who we are, for us to see who we are, to make choices of who we are, and then choose how we experience and who we experience. And that's what I believe it is. So for me, a lot of people look at Lucifer and all the darkness as something so bad and terrible, but that is only your judgments of fear, and that is only what you create darkness to be. And I'm not trying to say that that stuff is not scary, and I'm not trying to say that that stuff does not create things that I do not wish to experience, and nor do I wish anyone else to experience, but I do understand them, and the necessity for them in ways is because without them we wouldn't appreciate. Without that we wouldn't make certain choices. Without that contrast we wouldn't even understand what exists. There is so much going on there. And so I am now thankful for it and appreciate it, because I understand for the light to see the light and to choose the light, there had to be darkness for us to understand. Not just that, do you understand in our lives at where we are at the moment, how far we have to be pushed, how far we have to be pushed to even understand or be made to do anything before we see, before we make decisions? We literally have to be pushed against a wall, against corners, against even past that before we start to decide to push back. We literally, people let themselves be beat. People let themselves get raped and be killed and all this kind of stuff, be so sick, be all of these things before they make decisions to do anything different. And that's why all of this darkness exists. It's because of even ourselves that don't face things. We just don't face things until we do. And it's normally when we're pushed so far down before anything triggers to do anything. So in ways, it's our fault too, in so many ways. And that's why we have to take responsibility to see ourselves. That's why we have to take the moments instead of go, but to relax and see and then live differently, to make the choices, to understand our part, to see more. And so it's the same with Adam and Eve. I mean, think about it. God had them in a paradise where they lived naked and there was no shame. And then the serpent came and gave them shame. And here we are as a humanity. I mean, so many people who live by the Bible, and I'm sorry, but I find a lot of people who live religiously to be some, okay, not everyone, but some of the most judgmental people, okay? They're the ones that cast all of these judgments and limits and say you have to be this way and that way, and yet that's from themselves, and that's from the religion that they're taught in the moment, and not what I believe truly that is God and Jesus. Because to me, God and Jesus is unconditional love, and I'm sorry, a lot of those people are not practicing unconditional love. They're practicing that I hold this book and it gets me to a passage, but it doesn't get you to true heart self, to true, I'm sorry, that's what the feather and the balance is about your heart. It's about letting go of all of everything so that your heart is lighter than a feather is because with all of those impacted upon us, our heart weighs heavy, and you only get into the kingdom of heaven when you're lighter than a feather, okay? And how do you get to lighter than a feather? You have to release and forgive so much and be true heart self. That's how you get there, okay? Again, my opinion. So, my point being that why are we so ashamed of nakedness and all this kind of stuff and sexuality when it was part of the Garden of Eden? Okay, it was a part of the Garden of Eden. And that's where so many contradictions I feel in what is taught today in religion and all this kind of stuff. I feel like there's so many contradictions that I don't really believe exactly like what Jesus believed, that people don't truly understand. Jesus was even the one that turned the tables and pushed all the money inside and said, this is not what you need to do. You don't need to go to these places to be godly, to be part of God, that the kingdom of heaven is within each of our hearts. There's so much there. And yet we're continuing to live the same people that decided to crucify him, right? It's really funny to me, all the contradictions, and yet people don't see. It's because you wish to be saved, and yet you will not save yourself. And the way to saving yourself is to forgive yourself. And yes, have God, creator, source, and also Jesus, yes, forgive you. But there's more to it. It's not just the one way, it's the full circle. And that's so forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of self. And it's all part of it. And so that's how I came into forgiveness of all, even the dark side that I had a very hard time with. But then I decided to face it and to understand it. I used to fear darkness so much until I decided to see, because I was led. They told me I had to see darkness to fully understand and grasp. And now I get it. And you know, I used to be so afraid of the dark. I couldn't handle being in the dark. I couldn't handle being by myself. And now I literally live in the dark. I'm not afraid of it anymore because I am the light. I understand that, and the light comes from within and comes out. At the same time, I understand that we all have darkness within, but I love both the light and dark, and I believe and understand that we can't exist without each other, which is why then we have the ability to be both positive and negative and energy charge, and we have the ability to be neutral, and we have ability to choose what our experience is, and that's where free will and choice comes in. And that's where this dualistic reality we're living here on earth comes in, the realm of relativity, what we're living in this moment. I want you to understand that human life isn't easy. It's not people look at it as like 3D and they look at it as lower. And while it is in ways, it really is one of the most difficult lives to live. There aren't many planets, worlds, realms that have this dualistic reality anymore because it's so hard to understand. And that's why Earth is one of the last ones. And which is why they're trying to change it into just a pure negative or a pure positive. But I actually believe it's one of the most beautiful because it is this dual, and that everyone can exist here. But it's up to us if we can exist within that, within ourselves, and that will reverberate into the rest of everything. Now, Earth is such a beautiful place. Earth is actually a 4D, meaning heart chakra. Earth is heart chakra in even our planets. Earth is just heart chakra, and it's such a beautiful place, which is why it's green and blue. Green is heart chakra and throat chakra, and that's what we're all doing here, living our heart and expressing. And yet we're made to be lower in chakras, but that's because we need to heal our sacral and solar and root. But root is about bringing what we bring into the root. So what we need to heal mostly is our sacral and solar. Some people do have to heal that root. I was one that had to heal my root because I had to bring down into the grounding. But we need to accept ourselves for who we are and be ourselves. And that is what we need to do. We need to forgive ourselves, and we need to forgive everything else outside of us, but mostly ourselves. Because everyone I know that this is hard for people that have had people harm them in so many ways. But everyone I know is truly love. When you actually sit and you listen to people, even ones you don't wish to listen to, when you really listen, the choices they made was because of all the pain they had to go through, all the suffering, all the things that they had to endure. There is no love, just pure love person that can harm. There just isn't. But there is pure love that has been pushed down so far, and suffered so much that it reacts in harm and pain and trauma and tragedy because of what it had to go through. And that is what's happening. It's just a reaction. So if we learn to heal these things, and if we just step back and allow, rather than constantly being up here and acting, instead of recognizing and then choosing and doing this balance, that's when things change. And that's what we're living here. So while there are many things that I don't enjoy that go on in the world, because it was the worldly triggers that I saw in the physical that brought me to have to go into this path, which I am very grateful for, because through this path is what has allowed me to see, and through this is why I am bringing this back into the physical and grounding as this, is because this is how we heal. This is how we change the world. This is how the world is meant to be. We're the ones that faltered off of our true authentic selves, and here we are now to bring ourselves back to our truest selves if we wish. Not just that though, it's not like you have to just leave yourself completely. Love yourself, cherish yourself, thank yourself for bringing yourself here to recognize all of this and who you are, and then choosing and grounding to be who you wish to be in the world, to be seen. And I know it's not easy again. I know, because I went through it too. Do you understand how much I dimmed myself because I feared being loved for who I truly am? Do you understand how hard all of this is? And yet we find our strength. Up to you. It's up to you. Thank you for letting me do this video. I can't believe it's actually out there now. And like I said, in the next one, I'll talk more about the physicality of the world, because that was very hard for me. And yet there's solutions to all of it. But to me, this is the biggest solution of all. This part first, and then we ground and make choices. So please remember to breathe, and please remember your authentic self. And recognize your innate abilities of your voice, your intuition, and your gut. That is yourself. We're this connection, okay? Most of us are not connected, but we are this connection. And we're living in a time now where everything is as you wish, meaning that what you ask for will come. So remember what you're asking for. Be careful what you wish, because some people don't even understand what they're wishing. Recognize that before you wish, maybe think of all the things that come along with it, and then only ask for the side that you actually wish to receive. Because a lot of times, like I said in my other video, when it comes in, a lot of us refuse it because it's overwhelming. So understand that too, and ask yourself to be able to receive it even though it is overwhelming, and maybe for it to come in small layers that you can handle. And they literally do what you ask, meaning if you're not ready for it all in this moment, they will do it in the little things that you need. But it's up to you. It's you're the guide, and you're the one that allows what happens in your life. You just are, even if you don't recognize you are. And you know what's funny? A lot of people, when they start having choices, don't want the choices, but they don't actually understand how magical those choices are and how much you should appreciate that you even have those choices. I'm not saying it's easy again. It's not. But at the same time, it's a gift, and you got to recognize it, just as people don't fully understand what they're wishing for. So another one I'll give you here is, when you make wishes, you can have boundaries too, meaning that if you just wish for a part of the wish in the greatest grand scheme of the best of things, ask for that. If you don't wish for all the other stuff that comes with it, ask for that, but you have to let them know. Otherwise, your wish comes with everything along with it, which isn't a bad thing either. But you have to recognize that you did ask for it. You just didn't truly get what you're asking for. And so when the experience comes, you're like, it's not what I asked for, and yet it was, because were you specific about your wish? So there's so much to it, but literally the universe gives you everything you ask for, and that experience, all of the experiences, dark as they are and as light as they are all there for your learning, for your purpose, for who you are and who you wish to experience. So again, I love you all, and thank you for allowing me to express myself fully here, because wow, I have been waiting lifetimes to say this. I have been waiting this lifetime to say this, and I'm just glad. I can't believe it's actually out here now, and I'm so thankful for everything. I truly feel so much lighter and way more free, and now it's just what it is out there, but I'm going to be me, and I wish for you to be you and to love you fully. because I wish you to know that the all of everything loves you fully and unconditionally and truly, and you have already been forgiven. It is just you who have not fully forgiven yourself, who doesn't allow for the forgiveness, and who does not love yourself truly, unconditionally. So set yourself free. Please set yourself free and enjoy yourself in this life and who you truly are, because you're beautiful. We're all beautiful. We're all God's creation, and we are so, so beautiful. Enjoy life. I love you.